Secondhand clothing to me is unique, rewarding, and I feel more proud to own it.
Exciting, because most of the things you find are unique.
And I was really, really excited. Like, I wore it the day that I got it.
I guess secondhand clothing is just like exciting, and like the thrill of the hunt never goes away. Christian and Spencer Block really wanted, I mean, of course they wanted to have like a place where you could come find like cool clothes that were already available and out there in the world, but definitely sustainability was a big part of it, knowing that there's so much clothes out there and like so many cool clothes too, that like if we're always buying new, then like we're not using these things that are already out there. So it's like both, I think, a choice, but like also with environmental concerns, which are really important to us, like we know that it's like definitely a necessity to reuse things.
Well, vintage sportswear was intricate and everything 90s hip hop. I mean, whether it's a hat or a jersey or just a shirt, it was all about repping your team or your area or your city or even your gang. 90s sportswear is so much more than sports. It's really more about representing something. Before you even say anything, you know something about someone. You used to. More so nowadays, it's just a hat or just a shirt or just a jacket. But back in the day, it used to mean something. And it was a way to express yourself without saying anything.
I like the fact that you never really know what you're gonna find.
You can find some really nice like pieces in there, mixed in with all like the crap, but like you can find some really nice brands and like high quality things for very cheap.
I know it's unique and no one else is gonna have it, and I also know I got it for like a much better price.
Cheap, stylish, don't have to pay full price.
Secondhand clothing to me is saving money and being able to develop my own style. Like I got this at the Goodwill bins where you buy things by the pound, so it was probably like 5 cents.
For me, secondhand clothing was always just a way to like get fly, and I would just combine between, you know, getting things from friends, getting things from a thrift store, throw it together, make a nice little fit.
Whenever I want to get new clothes, I always go to just some thrift shop and, you know, dig through the rack, see what you can find, and next thing you know, you're popping out some Marc Jacobs. You're like, damn, okay. Check the price tag, you're like, $16. Yeah, what?
I express myself with my clothing, but I don't express myself with one certain style. So like secondhand clothing kind of helps me with that, because it's like a bunch of different pieces from a bunch of different, like either eras or even just like a couple years ago, but you can't find it anymore.
I go out and I source vintage and secondhand clothes that I think are constructed well, are timeless, something that you'll be able to wear for years without it falling apart. Also things that reflect current trends, because fashion is such a cyclical thing. It's pretty easy to find something that was made in the 80s that looks like something from now, but is usually a much better quality. I love pretty much any time that I find like 50s evening dress or prom dress. I just think they're so beautiful. I know that they're not necessarily the most wearable pieces and not necessarily like a top seller for me, but I still just, it gets me every time I find them.
Just really cool vintage. We also do see like high-end designer, like, I mean, just like a couple weeks ago, we had several people selling like some really cool Supreme hats.
Larry Johnson, Charlotte Hornets jersey, authentic. Just grew up watching him play. He was a bad man. His nickname was Grandmama, because he played like a grandma. But he was a baller. This is from probably 1997. So it's just funny to think what comes full circle and what was once cool is now cool again.
So oftentimes the people working at Goodwill will take the bins away even though they're still full of clothes, and then they'll bring them back with a fresh thing of clothes. So circulates the clothes and people get a new variety. And as you can see here, there are people waiting, eager to dig through the new clothes.
It makes it more of an experience. Like when you go to a retail store, there's a whole bunch of the same thing, but when you go to like a thrift store, like there's just one thing. And I think it makes it a lot more fun if you have to look for it.
And we're going to be perusing. V-neck. V-neck is a no-no.
I have spent many days, 12-hour days at the bins from open to close. It's one of a kind. If you've never been, you should go. And people at the bins will tell you not to tell people about the bins because it's a secret, but 1 out of every 20 people will be able to stay at the bins and actually hang in there because it can be a little rough.
Yeah, I definitely do think about the environmental impact of buying secondhand clothes. I feel like you can buy as much clothing as you want secondhand, and you're not doing anything to hurt the environment, basically, which I think is great.
What we're seeing is that people are buying and throwing away their clothes more than ever. Typically, more than one item is purchased per week by the average American. So that's over 365 items a year of new clothing that's being purchased. Roughly 20 to 30 billion pounds of clothing are thrown away each year, and more than 85% of that ends up in the landfill. One pair of denim jeans uses about 1,000 gallons of water to produce. And this amounts to over 600 billion gallons of water every year just to make the jeans sold here in the US. The climate impact of producing, again, one pair of jeans is equivalent to driving a car 81 miles. The annual carbon emissions generated by the clothing of the average household here in the US is equivalent to driving an average modern car 6,000 miles. So the true benefit of secondhand clothing is that it means we don't have to buy new. We can work with the materials and the textiles and the clothing we already have and offset those impacts to water, climate change, and our global ecological health.
Vintage clothing to me is, oh man, try not to cry. No, vintage clothing to me is everything. It's, when I first found out about the bins, I was in a rough spot in life, and I started going to the bins just to have clothes. I grew up pretty broke, and not just like any clothes. I had clothes, but to have fly clothes. So I started buying clothes and posting on Instagram just like what I found, and next thing you know, people were trying to buy everything off me that I was buying, and I said, hey, I can make some money doing this, make a little bit of extra money. And pretty soon I was making $500 a week, which was at the time minimum wage. You weren't making that, just a job any kid could get. And I kind of knew that, hey, I can make something out of this. And from that point on, it's been my job, and I'm damn good at it, and it never gets tiring. I love it. Vintage clothes is everything. If somebody was 2 blocks away and they had on a vintage hat or a vintage, certain style of jacket or whatever, I could tell you what it was. I could probably even tell you what size it was from a block away. So to me, it's everything.